There are the chosen, right? And they can operate within their ancestral field. They carry a generational sensitivity that comes from survival, brilliance, repression, and divine assignment. This is the cultural intuitive intelligence that had been developed across centuries. So the chosen, they can read what others ignore. The healers, who can interpret spiritual and emotional tension without any words spoken. They are whispers that travel through the nervous system. Ancestors whisper. And so their senses don't wait for confirmation. They respond to the spiritual weather of a place as if touched by something older than memory. See, truth tellers, they're the ones who carry the oral lineage. Storytellers, they speak with a vibration that shakes the atmosphere. And what about the empaths who inherit emotional intelligence sharpened through ancestral survival? And the healers who can decode tension, pain, and hidden agendas without being told. These are the anointed leaders who feel the weight of every environment because they were built to transform it. And so these are the diviners, the herbalists, the priestesses, the griots, the dream interpreters, and the villages trust without needing explanation. So in today's world, descendants navigating Western systems and generational harm and systemic pressure, spiritual warfare, and inherited brilliance that most people cannot comprehend. And this sensitivity becomes a spiritual instrument, divine equipment given to the chosen. Some of us were born with spirits that are tuned like ancient drums. So we have a natural rhythm. We hear the rhythm, the change in the rhythm before anyone else notices the pattern because we are tuned. We are tuned with ancient rhythms. And because we have been tuned, we're walking tuned of rhythm. We notice pattern before anyone else. And so that's why we can feel tension, right? Before voices rise, and we can detect peace before blessings even show themselves. Our perceptiveness is ancestral, our intuition is inherited, our sensitivity is survival, our spiritual gifts are lineage born, our insight comes from centuries of code switching, watching, surviving, adapting, and discerning. Our calling is activated the moment we step into any space. So, in every generation, there are sons and daughters who walk with a sensitivity that predates them. Before their feet cross the threshold, any threshold, your spirit has already scanned the atmosphere. So, you have the ability to feel, sense, and detect safely without anyone knowing. And you inherited this from ancestors who may have survived danger by reading the invisible tonal shifts, such as eye movements and emotional weather, so to speak. This is ancestral intelligence. And you have to understand, as a chosen individual, you aren't guarded, you're guided. In specific cultures, they're griots. And they were not just a storyteller, they carried histories back when histories were forbidden. And those same instincts live in you. You're the one who remembers emotional details others forget. You notice patterns no one else sees, and you can recount the truth even when it makes others uncomfortable. Your perception is a continuation of a sacred role, one that protected entire communities. The world tries to dismiss what you feel, but your lineage confirms it. Other groups develop sensitivity, and then there are those groups that are sculpted into it. There are people who survive by reading tone, danger, envy, jealousy, and intentions with precision. And so this shaped empaths who were capable of feeling a room's temperature the way others feel physical heat. You didn't choose this, history chose you. Your sensitivity is a continuation of a spiritual radar once required for spiritual, but now repurposed for leadership. Healers in your lineage were not appointed by institutions, they were recognized by intuition. People felt you before they understood you. You can sense internal battles without asking a single question. And you can detect grief even behind laughter. And you can recognize imbalance when it's masked by confidence. You're not intrusive, you're perceptive. This gift was not used to protect tribes, homes, and families, but now is used to protect your destiny. There are individuals whose steps are guided differently. They don't blend in even when they try to. Your presence unsettles some and comforts others. You walk with a weight that others notice but cannot explain. You were born with an assignment most people never grow into. You were not meant to follow. You were designed to stand as a living reminder that spirit is still real, still active, and still speaking. And your life becomes evidence. Some people learn intuition through books. They choose a degree or a calling. They choose. Chosen individuals inherit it through their body. A big difference. A chosen will receive a message in their stomach, a tug in their chest, a pressure in their back, and a ringing in their spirit. These are not random sensations, and they are not taught in any institution. They are bodily communication. So your ancestors didn't just leave stories, they left sensitivity, they left spiritual language, they left discernment encoded in your emotional instincts. Institutions cannot teach an instinct. And this is why your reactions come before your thoughts. And your body remembers what your mind has not yet processed. And with that, you must come with heavy protection. There are individuals that they choose degrees and calling and training, but they're not born with certain instincts. They're not gifted. They were not chosen by the ancestors nor by God. But God allows it. Freedom of choice. And so when they encounter individuals who are gifted, they can become very jealous and envious, because envy is what you feel when you see something you can't acquire. So people respond to you differently and not always with kindness. Some are drawn to you without knowing why. Others reject you without reason. Some admire you, others envy you. Because when you carry purpose, you carry a vibration that exposes what others try to hide. Your presence reveals truth. Your gifts to them is like you walking with bells on, with your bells on. Just like others can hear it, they can see it. And this is why you are often misunderstood growing up. Your gifts developed before others had language for them. Descendants who carry spiritual calling often move through spaces that were not shaped for sensitivity. So you can feel when a job is draining your spirit. You can sense the heaviness in certain families. You can detect jealousy in rooms that are filled with smiles and laughter. You can feel the spiritual weight of a neighborhood or workplace. You are not paranoid, you're perceptive. Your body reacts to what your spirit recognizes, and your spirit reacts to what your ancestors endured. This is why you cannot stay where your purpose is suffocating. Everything you've survived was preparation for leadership. You were given these gifts to be over. You were not given these gifts to be overwhelmed. You were given them to elevate, to heal, to speak truth, to expose harm, to release wisdom, to walk with a presence that changes the atmosphere, not because you demand it, but because your spirit carries authority. Your ancestors see you. Your lineage stands behind you, and your calling is active. You are the one who senses what others deny. You are the one who sees the unseen, and you are the one chosen to guide those who cannot yet hear themselves. Chains didn't just bind the body, they marked certain bloodlines. And generations later, that mark shows up as vision, intuition, spiritual insight, and inner strength that feels ancient in a modern world. What they thought they buried became the very signature that rises in the chosen today. And when we say chains here on Truth Tellers Mic, we're not talking just about metal. We're talking about the weight our ancestors carried, the pressure that forced spiritual gifts to awaken, the silence, their silence that sharpened our discernment, their pain that forged our instinct, and the environments they were forced to remain in created our supernatural sensitivity. And it's supernatural because we feel the sensitivity and we were never even in their shared environments. The resilience that stretched across oceans and centuries. What was imposed on the ancestors became your inheritance, part of it. What was meant to break became activation. Those changes didn't disappear, they transformed. So they now show up as spiritual intelligence in the descendants. They show up as gifts modern society cannot explain. When the world believed the oppressed would lose everything, their names, their language, their freedom, something else survived. Their vision, intuition, ancestral sensitivity, their emotional discernment, the spiritual decoding abilities, the ability to feel danger before danger arrives, and the ability to sense dishonor even behind smiles. These are not random traits, they are residue, they are memory, they are the echo of everything your ancestors were forced to hold in silence. What was suppressed spiritually resurfaces as gifting generations later. And people wonder why certain individuals can read tension, sense betrayal, hear spiritual tones, walk into a space and feel its history, carry wisdom they never learned in books, uplift entire communities simply by existing. Because the chain didn't just restrain, it transferred. It passed down strength wrapped in pain, insight wrapped in trauma, and gifts wrapped in survival. What the oppressor intended to erase became the very evidence of your anointing. Now, today, in this generation, the descendants of the bound rise with heightened intuition, prophetic sensitivity, empathic understanding, storytelling power, healing capability, spiritual leadership, emotional depth, and truth telling authority. And these are not new, these are old, century old, centuries old, ship hold old, drum language old, ancient high priestess old, griot memory old. The world sees you now and thinks your sensitivity is recent, but your spirit is carrying what was developed in darkness under the most extreme oppression on earth. You are the proof that the chains didn't win. You are the inheritance they never imagined would survive. You are the unveiling of gifts that refuse to die. Thank you for visiting my channel. Stay conscious, stay covered, and stay undefeated. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.